double wrist lock. The Gracies named it a Kimura.
And Kimura...
Kimura learned it from Carl Gotch from my gym.
Yeah.
Who was taught by my coach.
Right.
So, but my coach was taught by his coach. A double wrist lock has been used in CACC wrestling for hundreds of years. So, any of you Jiu-jitsu guys that think a Kimura is Jiu-jitsu or triangle is Jiu-jitsu, listen, shake yourself up or come to one of our seminars. CACC basically invented everything, CACC and wrestling. Any kind of submission in grappling sports came from CACC and wrestling.
Hi, this is Shadi, and history is indeed fascinating. You have the fun part where you learn about characters, their challenges, and how they were like as a character, and you have the complicated part where you are having these discussions and disagreements, and also taking claims and try to see whether the evidence suggests or supports these claims. And Billy Robinson in the video made some serious claims. These claims basically say that triangles, heel hooks, and ude garami basically came from CACC and Judo adopted it. So we're gonna see whether these claims hold any truth or weight, because these are some extraordinary claims, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And this is the fun part of history, where you can discuss and see the evidence and not just learn and just believe. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that At Santel probably beat the Kodokan during these times where he was against them, and they learned the ude garami from him. First of all, that was in 1916, and his debut was in 1907. However, evidence suggests that the Japanese, even back in Jiu-jitsu, they were doing ude garami way before that. So here you have Sadakazu Uyenishi, a Jiu-jitsu master, doing this arm lock, talking about the lever. You can do it in multiple directions. This is from his book, the Textbook of Jiu-Jitsu, in 1904 or 1905, if I'm not mistaken. So the first evidence to show, first of all, there's no contact before that between CACC and Judo. The only contact there is the At Santel incident, which is a very big incident. They kept sending fighter after fighter in order to shut him up about his claim about being a world judo champion. But that was in 1916. Even his debut was around 1907. Sadakazu Uyenishi's book and even Yukio Tani's book, The Game of Jiu-Jitsu, were before that, 1905, 1904, years before he started his debut. Even then, the transfer of information was not like today, so I'm sure it did not find its way through CACC wrestling. So when people say that Kimura learned it from Gotch, I fail to see the evidence, and also I fail to believe it. Also, when Jeo Omori went up against Carlos Gracie, Carlos Gracie used ude garami against Jeo Omori. It was around the early 1930s, so Kimura was 13, 14 years old. There's no way that they've learned it from Kimura or Gotch from that period. So to say that it came from CACC wrestling, in my opinion, I find it very hard to believe. The evidence suggests that the Japanese also had it in their repertoire of technique. They understood the lever with the elbow, the shoulder, and the wrists. I know this is a very ancient technique, and we all know that techniques can come from all over the world simply by understanding the human body and how it operates. So the first one being that Kimura, let's just say for the sake of argument that Kimura did learn it from CACC. There is a photo of them shaking hands, Gotch and Kimura, but let's just say for the sake of argument he did learn it. So even if he did learn it from that, that doesn't mean that the ude garami or the wrist lock, key lock found its way into the judo repertoire through CACC wrestling. The evidence show otherwise, and there's no evidence even like in 19th century or any story of any challenge that the ude garami found its way to judo through CACC as CACC can. I find that simply hard to believe. Even here, like you have Mifune doing this variation with no contact with catch whatsoever in Japan only. So the other claim is that the triangle choke was being done before. Here, this photo from 1921, excuse me, you see that the whole story with Masaru Hayakawa and the whole with Kanemitsu thing in 1921, so they had to invent the triangle choke. If you can find a photo before 1921 of catch wrestlers doing the triangle choke, please do share it with me. But there's no evidence that it was being done before 1921, or even if, let's just say, it's kind of like any other technique that had multiple origins, but before 1921 there's no evidence that anyone has done a triangle choke. So even John Danaher in his podcast on the BJJ Fanatics talks about that there was heel hooks, there was arm bars, there were hip tosses around the world, double leg takedowns, but no one, or at least not that we know of, documented the triangle choke before the Masaru Hayakawa and Kanemitsu interaction and the whole thing to beat Tsunetane Oda's team in 1921. Before that, there's no evidence. If there is evidence of catch wrestlers doing a triangle choke before 1921, please do not hesitate to share the evidence with me, but I don't see any other evidence that suggests otherwise. So like I said, these are big claims and they require evidence, but the evidence is just so scarce. I fail to see or believe what Billy Robinson is saying. So let's talk about leg locks and the heel hook. So the people say that Takeo Yano learned the heel hook from Euclides Hatem, a catch wrestler. Here is Atseltel again doing a straight ankle lock, but by the way, this is a poor ankle lock. Here you can see, first of all, he's offering his leg to the other, and also the way he's sticking his leg under his own leg. It can be used as a fulcrum to be used both as an ankle lock and a calf slice. Again, we go back to Sadakazu Uyanishi before the debut of Atsentel. Here, pinning the hips, having his legs open and doing an inside straight ankle lock. There is many grips. Now, I know we're talking about the heel hook here, but hear me out. So you can see here that you have the leg locks. First of all, they have studied the mechanics, how to keep someone from getting back up. Takeo Yano taught it to Ivan Gomez. This is from BJJ Heroes and an interview with Ivan Gomez's younger brother. He said that the heel hook existed before us. It came through the Japanese that landed here in northeast of Brazil. Our coach, Zé Maria, taught us this position. He learned from Takeo Yano, and he keeps on talking that he's coming from the Butoku Kai rather than the Tokyo Kodokan. So Butoku Kai, which was famous for being very exquisite and talented on the ground. Now here, this is a far more sophisticated inside straight ankle lock from Mikunsuke Kawaishi's book, My Method of Judo. You can see like a single leg X, an S grip, and he's clasping the knees together and pulling backwards. Now, I know this is a straight ankle lock. It's called Kata Ashi Hishigi, but like many other techniques in judo, a technique can be done in multiple various ways. And one other way to complete the leg lock, in the same book it says the leg lock can be completed with a torsion of Uke's right knee, so creating a torsion. For that purpose, Tori must strongly tighten his knees so as to wedge Uke's knees between them and not bend directly backwards, but on his left, and press more particularly the inner surface of his left knee towards the right against the outer surface of Uke's right knee. So you're creating a torsion and also, pinning the knee and creating the torsion by turning sideways, not bending backwards. I don't think someone with the technical sophistication of the Japanese failed to see that you need to hook the heel in terms of creating a lever. Now here, look, you have the wrist that turns outward, and Yukio Tani details it. So you had the S grip, multiple grips. So studying the grips was very much important. So I don't think they missed the detail where you have to hook the heel. Like here, you can see very simply, it comes very naturally in order to create the torsion. So Mikunsuke Kawashi went to Europe in the 1930s and detailed his techniques that he learned in the Kodokan. I'm sorry, he was in the Dainippon Butokukai again, at Tokyo, a Kyoto judoka, so very well talented on the ground. So which also explains why the French have good, or at least somewhat decent newaza from Shojo Awadzu and Mikunsuke Kawashi. So I strongly fail to see someone like the Japanese with this technical sophistication, how they put their legs, they pin them, they talk about not grabbing too low and not grabbing too high, but on the bottom of the calf in order to pull. He said that turn your wrist upwards to create as much as pain as possible, and he also talks about pinning and creating torsion on the knee by turning sideways. I fail to see that they didn't learn how to grab the heel or hook the heel with the wrist turned upwards in order to create lever and torsion on the knee. I just simply do not see any evidence to suggest that all these moves got into judo through catch wrestling. I don't see any evidence, and I don't see any evidence that Euclides taught Takeo Yano these moves. It was simply through trial and error. And even back in Jiu-jitsu, Sadakazu Uyanishi and Yukio Tani are not judokas, they're Jiu-jitsu masters that learned under Handa, Yotaro Handa, and met their way into the West and detailed their techniques. So I don't see any evidence that catch taught them all these techniques. Jiu-jitsu, judo, all these people detailed their techniques in these books. Now they did wrestle, for example, what's his name? Taro Miyake fought against catch wrestlers, but that was in the 1910s. That was way later on. But when it comes to learning his repertoire of techniques, there's no evidence that he learned from catch wrestlers. It's all jiu-jitsu and self-defense techniques that they learned. Like I said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. In my opinion, judo is the complete grappling art when it comes to self-defense and gi grappling. It's very unfortunate that these rules are being put, banning leg grabs, banning leg locks, because you are losing a great deal of your technical heritage when you do these rules, because people will simply stop learning them for competition purposes. I suggest strongly that, let's just say you don't want leg locks in your competitions, and that's fine. I have people comment that I have reconstructed ACLs, I'm constantly walking with a limp, and I do not encourage leg locks, and that honestly makes me feel a little bit bad when I read those comments. So let's just say, just to keep the technical heritage of judo and what they used to have, not just by old Kawashi books, but also keep them in terms of examination, not only just how to do them, but also the no nige, or how to get out of them, like Juji Gatame, how to do it, and Juji Gatame no nige, how to get out of a Juji Gatame. Same with leg locks. You should be tested and done from multiple positions, from multiple sides, like the Sankaku Jime, for example, or Sankaku Gatame. That's how you, first of all, keep the integrity of your art as like the intellectual and technical heritage, and also just people would learn far more value about how these arts came to be, and also the just technical sophistication that they used to have. This is very important in my opinion, and it should be taught. If you don't want to put them in like competitions and rules, I understand they are dangerous. However, don't stop teaching them and examining people in order to get like second dan, third dan, or whatever. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below if you have anything else to add. This was Shadi, and thank you for listening.